help you?
Hi, Pastor.
Hi.
I was wondering, what does the Bible say about doing business with family?
That is a really good question. April's saying, hey, when it comes to the family business and relationship with family, sometimes that can get a little dicey depending on what's going on. Are they a believer? What kind of business are we in? All of those things are really good questions to consider. And, the Bible does have something to say about being unequally yoked together with unbelievers. In other words, if you have family members that are saying, hey, let's start this business together, but they don't know the Lord, they don't have the same principles or values or live biblically like you do, there will come a point, and I've seen this, I'm sure Pastor Scott has as well, you get to this point where we can't go any further, and then there's problems, and you have strong convictions and they don't, and you don't know what to do, and then suddenly now there's this breakup in the family and money's involved. And I think you really have to use wisdom and discernment concerning this. In just a few minutes, I'm going to ask Pastor Scott to really dive a little bit deeper on this, because I know that this is something just in pastoring a church, that this is a question that's asked quite often, April, from people, should I do this with my uncle? Or, my mom really wants me to get involved in this, but, she's not a believer. Is this the right move for me?
I would say that just depends. And John, I actually thought that you were giving some really good precepts and principles to her before we went to the break. Like, is your family believers? I think that is an important thing to consider. All those things that you listed a moment ago, I think those were great principles to look at. Now, when we do look at the Bible, we go back into the culture of the Bible, we do see, in Israel during Bible times, especially the New Testament. I mean, most businesses were family businesses. I mean, Jesus' disciples who were fishermen. You have James and John fishing with their father Zebedee. I mean, they were. That's the way the culture was structured. Where it was one rabbi said that if a man doesn't teach his son a trade, then he only teaches him how to be a thief. So during Bible days, in the setting of the Bible, that was normal. Your children, especially your sons, went into the family business. So that was a normal thing. Today, that is really not our culture so much. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing if a father can, teach his son skill and he can join him in the family business and take over the family. I think that's great if that can happen. But there's a lot of dynamics there that have to, that have to come in place. I think it's important, that a person who's a family member doesn't go into the family business because they feel pressured or they feel like, well, I'm expected to do this. I have to do this because it's the family business, maybe their personality may not be set to do the business that their family has. So that might be a reason that maybe God's gifted them and just made them in a different way to do something different. And so that might be a reason not to go into the family business. But John, as you said, definitely you don't want to be unequally yoked, going into business, even if it's your family with unbelievers, that's always a danger. So, I think if you have a good tight-knit family and you have the same passion as your family, I don't see anything wrong with that if it can be worked out. Now, I do think this is important. I think it's really important that if people are going to go into business together as a family, that, before they actually start working and getting paid and do all that, that they sit down and they really go through the agreement of what is expected of you and how much you're going to get paid and, what kind of hours are you going to work or what's going to be expected of you in this business. Because I have, as a pastor, been involved, sometimes in some of those dealings with somebody who maybe is in business, with their siblings or with their parents or something. And all of a sudden now, we're hearing problems of, well, I thought I would get paid more. Or I thought that, I wouldn't have to work as many hours and it would be a little more fair, that kind of thing. So I think that's wisdom, is to maybe have a contract or at least get together and let's settle all those things before we delve in there. So I hope that helps, John.